shows you how extensive the branching is on the sympathetic division. This is on page 457. So see, here's the spinal cord. Here's T1 through L2. But I want to show you something on here because I talked about it, and this is the first chance I had to show you. See this little, it looks like a little string of pearls right along here on this side and right along here along this side. That's what we refer to when we talk about the sympathetic chain ganglia. Right? So each one of these little kind of round things is a ganglia. And it's connected to the next one above or the next one below by a little short segment, which we call the sympathetic trunk. So it might look something like this. So you'd have a ganglia, a trunk, a ganglia, a trunk, you know, like that. I'm kind of exaggerating the size. So the whole thing would be a sympathetic chain, would be the sympathetic chain ganglia. These would actually be the individual ganglia, the linked parts of the chain, and these would be the trunks. So you can't see it real well on this. You can see it pretty well on that diagram over there. So that's the sympathetic chain ganglia right there. And they're located, it's close to the cord. You would agree with that, I'm sure. But I mentioned that there's other ganglia which are anterior to the spinal cord, and there's 1, 2, 3 of them on here that you sort of have to know. It's on a slide, but I'll point them out to you right now. No, I've already written it. There's one here called the celiac ganglia. It's kind of sort of right here. It's spelled C-E-L-A-I-C. Anyways, the celiac ganglia is right there. This is one of the collateral ganglia. There's another one down here called the superior mesenteric ganglia, and these are the mesenteries, your gut, so it's kind of like right here. And then there's another one called the, where'd it go? Inferior mesenteric ganglia. And it's right down here. On that old chart, it was hilarious. On an old chart, we've had it for so many years. And students, I bet 100,000 students probably looked at it over the, God knows how long we had it, right? It was so old. It was kind of like if you looked at the heart, the eye one, where the center of the macula ludi is, it's all like just white there because people keep poking at it and, you know, touching it and stuff. Well, the old chart we had, this thing, the celiac ganglia, the superior mesenteric ganglia, and the inferior mesenteric ganglia were just holes. There was nothing left. So somebody would go, well, where's the celiac ganglia? I'm going, you see this hole right here? That hole is the celiac ganglia. The hole below it, so you can see we needed a new poster. Right? So anyway, so we have, these are the chain ganglia here, and 1, 2, these are the 3 collateral ganglia. And there's I think a little better picture in a second. But you can see it goes all these structures. It goes to everything, plus sweat glands and blood vessels. Because this is sweat gland over here, blood vessels. I'm trying to skip through, I guess I can't skip through that. I wanted to see if I could give you a little bit a better view of the collaterals, but I can't. All right, now the meat of the sympathetic nervous system. How do these? I'm stuttering here because I can't think of the right word. I'm stammering. How do you describe the pathways? It's like a roadmap. It's almost like you need a GPS system to figure out what's going to go on here, but you really don't. All right. So here's how this works. Here's the cord, and here's the lateral great horn. Here's the ventral root. Right? You can see this little red thing going out, and this is the preganglionic fiber because it hasn't gone out to the ganglia yet. And it's going to go out to some effector organ. Well, here's the complicated question that I'm going to try to answer for you all. What direction does the fiber travel? How does it know where to go, or where does it go after it leaves the cord? Okay. Now, last night in the spinal cord, something came up on one of the diagrams and said, don't worry about these things called communicating rami. It's called the gray and white communicating rami, or branches. I said, don't worry about that, because that's part of the autonomic nervous system. Right? Well, tonight you got to worry about it, right? Because that describes the pathway of the fiber. Now remember, this is going to seem really long in terms of distance, but it's actually quite short because this thing is like, you know, right here. It's not that far from the cord. All right, so here's how this works. Now remember, this fiber is myelinated. Okay, lightly myelinated, but nevertheless myelinated. Right? So it's white. It's got myelin. All right, so here it comes. It comes out the ventral root, passes briefly into the spinal nerve, and then this happens. The fiber takes a turn because, see, here's the ganglia where the relay is going to happen. So we have to have the synapse is going to occur right here. You know, same thing could occur up here, but anyway, it comes out, and it has to go to this ganglia. Now, the word ramus means branch, right? So here's a branch. And the reason it's called the white ramus, or the white branch, is because this fiber has myelin on it. So it's white, right? So it comes out, it goes briefly through the spinal nerve, it makes a turn, it goes into the white ramus. Now remember, these are microscopically short. It goes into the white ramus where the synapse occurs. Right here, see, this is our second neuron in the relay, right here. Right? Now remember, in all these systems, the second axon is not myelinated, so it's not going to be white. So the exit, where this thing then takes off and goes out into the body, is called the gray ramus, because it's not white, because this fiber has no myelin cover on it. So the white ramus and the gray ramus are named because the first fiber has myelin on it, and the second one doesn't, and the word ramus just means branch. And all these are is a pathway. Whenever you hear gray ramus, white ramus, that's purely referring to the sympathetic nervous system. Right? That doesn't have anything to do with anything else you've learned so far. Yeah?
Did the parasympathetic have no myelin at all, right?
The parasympathetic has myelin on the first one, right? But it doesn't have the chain ganglia or anything like that. So the parasympathetic nervous system is not involved at all with the gray ramus, white ramus, sympathetic chain ganglia, none of that. This is purely sympathetic, right? So it comes through here, through the white, synapse, out the gray, and then out to whatever effector organ it's going to go to, right? So that's one. Right? And that's actually pretty simple when it comes right down to it. I mean, it sounds complicated, and it takes me forever to explain it, but it's not that bad. Right? Well, there's another possibility here. It's really not any more complicated. Since you already kind of got that one, we'll do the second one. I was going to do it anyway. So it comes